Eleanor. Whoop. Come on. Good catch. Good catch. Let go. Let go. It's not playing if you don't let go. And hello, little lady. Hi, sweetheart. Hello. We're having a very nice morning this morning. I stayed home. I didn't go to my home group. I just slept in late, hung out with the cats. Look how fluffy she is. Oh, am I gonna get... I got a kiss. They're very rare. I love you, honey. Hey guys, how are ya? First, I apologize for the light. I've got this dappled sunlight filtering through trees and, well, metal bars. So I do apologize for the lighting here. So I hope it's not too distracting with all this. But hey there, hi there, ho there. Welcome back to my channel. It's me, Steven. Happy Vlogtober Day 11. That means it's October 11th. First, it is National Coming Out Day. So if you're in the LGBTQ plus community, happy National Coming Out Day. If you are not celebrating but think that you are different somehow, if you may be gay, lesbian, bi, transgender, and so on, asexual, pansexual, if you just feel that you're not safe and it's not a safe place for you to come out and be your genuine self, I am so sorry. I wish you the courage and the grace and the patience and the strength and everything else you need to be your ideal, true, genuine self. You are amazing. Some of the best parts of me are because I am LGBT, because I am gay. Sometimes I have to tell you, I think my sense of empathy and compassion are linked directly to the experiences I've had in my life as a gay man and how I've been ostracized, put aside, accused of horrible things. You know, my Aunt Elaine, who's passed away years ago, my Aunt Elaine asked me to be her godson, the godson of my cousin Michael. And I was moved. I was amazingly moved by that. And I was touched. Like, and it was an amazing thing. But she would never leave me alone in the room with Michael when he was a child because she thought as a gay man I'd molest him. Which gives you a little insight into my family and why I'm okay with being the last survivor. The things I've been through in my life have definitely helped forge compassion and empathy for others. And I really hope that you never have to go through some of the things that I had to go through or my generation and those before. But if you're young and you're coming out and you're questioning, I wish you courage. I wish you strength. I wish you a safe place. And if you aren't in a safe place, get out. Okay? Know that you're loved. It does get better. I know that they say it all the time and it sounds very whatever, but it does get better. It does get better. You're amazing. All right? So, today is also not so cheery, my mother's birthday. Oh, boy. My mother was a complicated person. Let me see. There's a question somebody asked me. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Oh, the sun is really quite something right now. Let me see if I can lean over here. Rah! Hey there. All right, so it was Cat NYC that asked the question. I'm wondering if your mom regretted how she treated you when she was younger. Maybe when she got to be way older, she changed her ways as a result. This the sun is becoming a nuclear blast furnace. Let me see if I can improve this. Hold on one sec. That's better. I had to pull a curtain across the window here, which disrupted Eleanor's slumber. I do feel bad about that, but this light was getting to be too much. So Kat NYC asked, basically, did my mother change when she got older? So it's a great question. Hi, babies. They are rarely this close together. Hi, honey. And you're not being a jerk to your sister that's so good. Eleanor. 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 Hi, baby. And you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I just filmed probably another 20 minutes of something that devolved into a really painful therapy session that really didn't that didn't need to be laid at your feet. So the sun has passed a little bit. There's a fruit fly that keeps dancing around me here. The sun has set a little bit. I'm going to start getting ready for work. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't have to be at work until 7:45 tonight. So I'm just kind of hanging out with the cats. We're doing a handheld here because Eleanor is currently occupying the cat tree that I usually steal. Oh, I woke you up, honey. I'm sorry. Currently occupying the cat tree that I usually stand my tripod on. So we're doing a little handheld action here. So, Kat's question. Let's see if I can address her question, because it really is a great question. Basically, do I think that my mother changed as she got older, and was she aware of her behavior maybe later on in life? And I don't know. I don't know, and honestly, I can't say I don't care, because that just sounds so cavalier, and I hate when someone says, I don't care, whatever. Ugh, I hate that. My relationship with my mother was very complicated. Actually, my mother's relationship with everyone was very complicated. I was just the first to really recognize how toxic she was, how painful she was, and before anybody else. Eventually, her behavior ostracized her from the rest of the family. Eventually, her sisters kind of gave up. My Aunt Peggy kind of held on. But Elaine, even my grandmother, eventually kind of had to distance themselves from her. Because my mother was just basically painful, just awful, and it's really hard to describe. I could tell you dozens and dozens of stories that would illustrate how difficult she was, but she always seemed to reserve her deepest gouges for me. Part of it, I think, stems from her, and she always did blame me for my brother Mark's passing. I'm sure you've heard the story because I've told it dozens of times. But Mark and I were playing outside. He was on a sidewalk playing, and I was climbing a little tree across the street. And a pickup truck backed up over the sidewalk and across Mark's torso and head. And he died horribly. And my mother always blamed me for him passing, and I really, she's mentioned, well, she never said outright, but he was really her favorite. It's impossible not to have a favorite child. Every once in a while, Eleanor is my favorite cat, then Buddy's my favorite cat, and then Eleanor's so I don't know, but my mother really favorited Mark quite a bit, because he was damn cute. He was so cute, and I was a pest. But yeah, my mother seemed to always reserve her greatest dislike of me. She never liked me. And I'm not the only one who's experienced this. Many people have had bad mothers, but she was painful. My mother was really, really a hateful person. I eventually escaped her when I was 14. In her shadow, I had learned how to already drink alcoholically. In her shadow, I had already been smoking marijuana and pot. It's a miracle I hadn't started to explore other drugs, but those are the only things that were in the house. You know, it's hard for a 14-year-old to score drugs on a sidewalk, but I probably wasn't that far from it. But I learned at her knee how to reach for alcohol and drugs to solve what was happening inside my head or my heart. I learned how to, I learned a lot of bad behaviors from my mother. But at 14, my aunt Elaine, just a little story time. My aunt Elaine was getting married. She was marrying this guy Bo, who was so sweet. He was so nice. He was so handsome, and she just ruined that man. But she was getting married to him, and I asked if I could be in the wedding ceremony as one of the ushers, or the groomsmen. She said yes, and so I flew from Germany, where we were living with my mother's third husband at the time. I flew to Rhode Island with a bag full of everything that I thought was important and vital to me, mostly books. I went to Rhode Island, where my grandmother lived, and I told my grandmother I wasn't going back. And she knew, she understood, she knew my mother. And my mother was very happy to let me go. She was quite content. She could then party and do and be who she wanted to be without the specter of having to be responsible for a child. Yeah. So, once I moved to Rhode Island after the military, my mother, she was married to a series of Army guys. They moved to Mexico out in the desert, built a shelter out of plastic and wood, digging their own latrines. And apparently because I thought I liked electricity, I was elite. She just always seemed to think that I saw myself as better than her. I don't know. It was just a really complicated relationship. And lies. I just can't even get across how complicated our relationship was. But she seemed to actively hate me and hold me in great disdain. When I got sober, I was 33 years old. I got sober in June of 2002. I'd say roughly 6 months later, I was practicing the 6th and 7th step, beginning my 8th step. And forgiveness is a huge part. And I don't want this to be a long, again, therapy session as it was before. This is being much nicer and much calmer. In doing the 6th, 7th, and 8th step, I was preparing to try to forgive my mother, and I had really come to some success in that, forgiving her, because as I got older and I got sober, I understood some of her behaviors a little bit more clearly, identified with some of those behaviors, which doesn't make them better or good or appropriate. I just kind of understood them as a fellow sick person. So I invited my mother to Boston. She was living in Rhode Island at the time. I paid for a bus ticket to get her up here. And I said, if you want to spend the day with me, you have to understand, I go to 3 AA meetings a day at the time. For the first, I think, 9 months, I was going to 2 and 3 meetings a day. And I said, I'm going to be at AA meetings. I went to a 7:30 a.m. meeting. She went. She got up there real early. I went to a 7:30 meeting. I went to a noon meeting, and I went to a 6:30 meeting, I think. And she went to all 3 with me. She just to be in the same room with me, because she always still thought she loved me, which I find funny. But I said, if you're going to be in the same room with me, they're going to happen to be AA meetings. And she heard something in those meetings, not from me. She heard something from somebody that planted a seed in her mind. And when she went back to Rhode Island, to Pawtucket, she discovered her own sobriety and she got sober. And there were a lot of people that went like a Venn diagram. Both of our circles overlapped with people that we knew. And there were some people I knew that went to meetings where she went, and they would tell me stories about my mother that I had a hard time believing. They would say that they walked into the room, sat at the table with the weight of the world on them, contemplating the worst possibilities, and my mother would just pass by quietly and rest her hand on their shoulder or touch them on the top of the head, and they would feel at peace and they would feel love, and she was this earth mother. I would hear these things and not understand them, because that was not the woman I knew. And bile and vinegar and hatred and stale cigarette smoke are the things that I got, you know. All these people would say these things about my mother, that she had become this light in the world, and I got this black hole that only took things, you know. And it was just unbelievable to me that she could be kind and loving to strangers, but hate her own only surviving child, you know. And she treated most of her family poorly. I guess it's easier to love strangers. I guess I identify with that, because I'll tell you, if you see me on a plane, the love I give these people on the airplane, I can't seem to bring to, well, I love my cats as much, but I seem to love my passengers because they're strangers. They don't know the rest of my story. They don't know the darkness behind me, you know? So it's easy to be light and carefree and loving, I guess, with strangers. I don't know. There's something there. But, yeah, so she was that person. She was beloved in her community. I would go on her Facebook page. I went recently by some morose something, all the love that was given to her on her Facebook page after she passed. She died in 2020. I did go to visit her a day or two before she passed, just out of, I don't know, familial responsibility, I guess. I cried. Yeah, I don't know if she changed. I tried to make a living amends. I tried to change my behaviors around her before I had to cut her off once again. I didn't speak to her for years before she passed to retain my own safety. Did she never tried to make an amends with me. I'll tell you that for a fact. And that was probably the last resentment around her that I was able to drop. Because for years I had been resentful that she could make amends to the world, but not to me. Was a great offense to me. And I finally eventually let that go recently. So today I can walk around. I know I sound still mad, but today I walk around relatively free of pain and remorse and resentment and regret around my mother. There's more of a residue of sadness, like you would find tea leaves in the bottom of a cup. You know, it's just this little detritus at the bottom of something that's not that terribly important to me. The gifts, there's a couple things. Boy, this video is longer than I thought it would be. There's a couple things my mother gave me. There's a few things that my mother gave me that I do treasure. First, she let me go. She could have fought and held on to me as a possession when I was a child, but she let me go. Whether or not that was to suit her own needs, she still did it. She let me go. She gave me freedom, which allowed me to become who I am today. I have to say, we have a very similar sense of humor. We have a very similar way of approaching the world. She taught me how to hug like this, like my arms are like this. When I hug, I don't hug close to many people, but she gave me a sense of humor and a sense of appreciating the ironic and a way to observe the world in a particular way, which I appreciate and I think is one of my better sets of skills. And she gave me stories, I guess, and a way to tell them. So, I don't know if she changed. I've changed. That's good. Oh, the last thing she gave me. She didn't mean to. But maybe this is the best gift. And I've told you the story before. When I got sober, I was about to try to, check out of the party. I ended up. My aunt Elaine told me that my mother had tried to kill her boyfriend and then herself and his son with a shotgun, but she either missed or couldn't do it or couldn't figure out how to operate the gun. But she had tried to kill them, and so she ended up in a locked psych ward. And when I went, she said, my Auntie Elaine said, you have to visit your mother. I was not in, I did not want to. But I went, mostly for Elaine. I went to see my mother, and my mother sat there in a locked psych ward, smiling, trying to make light of the situation, trying to convince everybody and herself that she wasn't deeply broken. And I watched my mother try desperately to keep her head above water, at least to make it look like she was okay while she was in a locked psych ward. And in the back of my brain, I recognized myself in her, because we're very much alike. I have better taste in men than she does, but, well, that's questionable. And in the back of my mind, a little movie played, and it was out of the Ghost of Christmas, what was it called? Ebenezer Scrooge, all that stuff. A Christmas Carol. In the back of my mind, a little movie was playing, and I could see the Ghost of Christmas Future, that shrouded black figure with a skeletal arm that reached up and pointed at the tombstone where Ebenezer Scrooge was going to celebrate his next Christmas. And there was a sense of dread, the sense of, this is my future. Because I was planning on a whole bunch of stuff, and this is my future. This is what's going to happen. And I wasn't afraid of losing I wasn't afraid of losing anything. I wasn't afraid of dying. I was afraid of losing my mind. I was afraid of losing who I was. I wanted a sense of the illusion of control over what was going to happen to me. And seeing her in that locked psych ward felt like the Ghost of Christmas Future. It felt like my future pointing a finger in a real dark place. And in the end, that was the springboard into what would plunge me into the deepest, darkest spot I've ever been, which was my springboard into recovery. I know that didn't sound like a very cyclical story, but so of all the things my mother gave me, her pointing the way towards where I could have and would have gone, warning me through her behavior as to what would have happened had I continued along that path, led me to be who I am really today and where I am. And my cats, and my condo, and my career, and the fact that through my channel and through my behavior in life and my meetings, I've touched thousands of people's lives in a way that I don't think was derogatory or or bad. I don't think. So, ta-da! This still ended up being like a 20-minute long video. I really meant it to be like a short, hey, how are ya? Happy Vlogtober. But it still turned into a therapy session. But this is a lot nicer than my last time I filmed a vid. The thing I deleted was just inappropriate. So before I get to any more inappropriate, I am going to get up, put my bag together, and get ready for work. I'm flying out to Baltimore tonight. I fly out one leg to Baltimore, and then I fly back to Las Vegas tomorrow. So really easy trip, knock on wood. I'm the third most senior person, so I'm either going to fly. If no one else wants to fly lead, I'll fly lead because I like to fly lead. But I have a suspicion that A and C are going to be filled, so I will fly position D probably. That's what I think I'll be doing. But blah, 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 blah. Let me let you go so I can get in my work uniform, that one fruit fly. I will see you soon. All right? Tomorrow. Fly safe. Bye. Do you see it? The little fly?